Hey, what's up, guys? David Glenn for theproaudiofiles.com and davidglennrecording.com. Today we're going to do kind of a quick and dirty vocals masterclass. We're going to look at some of the basics of processing vocals. We're going to use Slate's VMR. We're going to use a couple of other miscellaneous plugins, and we're going to get a pretty sweet sounding vocal here. I've got a track by the band Above Giants. It's a new band. I want to give a shout out to my man Matt McQueen for sharing it with us at themixacademy.com. We've got a membership site where just $1 gets you in. We're going to take the song start to finish. You get the multi-tracks, you get to download them, use them for your resume, promote your business, grow your business, all that good stuff. Watch me mix it, get in the community and ask questions, and all great things there at the Mix Academy. But I want to hit play. There's a little snippet here we're going to work with, and we're just going to break down some of the basic processes of mixing vocals. And here we go. So here is Shipwrecks by Above Giants.
Everything seems to hit the ground.
Okay, so I said quick and dirty. I'm just going to play a little snippet for you. The first thing that I noticed about this vocal, it's very dynamic. We've got some words that seem to be missing, and some are louder and softer. So we've got some work to do. The first thing that I'm going to do, usually, if I'm not being lazy, is I'm going to open up clip gain in Pro Tools and zoom in. I'm going to solo this vocal and make sure I hear all of the words.
Everything I know seems to hit.
Now right away, I'm going to switch over to slip mode here. You can see this I for I know
seems
completely inaudible in the mix. Here's that again. Nothing, right? All we hear is no. So got a couple tricks that we can use before we even put any plugins on. I'm going to go in, I'm going to put a couple breakpoints here. I'm working with the clip gain line, and other DAWs, you may have this. If not, then you can always put a gain plugin on and then automate the gain of the trim plugin or whatever it is in your DAW as the first plugin insert. But for me, I'm just going to go in here with Pro Tools. I don't want to grab that transient there. I'm going to just kind of draw this up here. Bring some amplitude to that. Let's see. Okay, so now I've got something there. I'm going to then pull open this and just kind of pull this guy up so I can really feel it in the mix. Let's hear that.
Everything I know seems to.
Okay, so it's still soft, but at least it's up. It's a little bit better in the mix, and when we hit it with some compression, it'll come up even more. So the other thing was I noticed this guy back here, if I'm going to be tedious with this, I could come in and select this stuff, kind of pull that up a little bit.
Everything I know seems to hit.
The breath sounds awesome at the beginning of that, but this could kind of come up there. Let's just fatten that up a little bit.
I know seems to
hit the ground. All of this can come up, so you could just go line by line and pull this stuff up.
I know seems to hit the ground.
I'm much happier with that. So one more time, let's hear this in context of the mix. We've already made a great improvement. Let me bypass, let me hide the clip gain. Actually, let me get that back, right click, act like I know what I'm doing here. Show the clip gain. Let me clear the clip gain, and let's hear this with no clip gain.
Everything seems to hit the ground.
And then let's put back the clip gain.
Everything I know seems to hit the ground.
It's night and day, right? So that already, step number one, we've made a huge improvement. You can go throughout the whole song and do this, and your vocals are going to love you for it. Your client's going to love you. So first up for me, now that it's louder, let's come in here. I'm going to go to the second insert slot. You'll see why in a minute, but I'm going to throw Slate's, if I can find it here, Steven Slate, bam, bam, bam. Slate Digital, there we go, virtual mix rack. I'm going to throw this guy on. I've got a default setting here. It's the DGR default in Pro Tools. It allows you to set up a default way that the plugin's going to load. And I've got these on as my standard go-tos. But these guys just released the FG116, the vintage and the modern, the blue stripe, the FET. What I'm going to do is I already kind of know where I'm going with this one. We're going to use the filter on the SSL. We'll turn that on. I'm going to use the revival because I can hear that this mic is a little bit dark. I want it to come forward a little bit more, a little bit of top end, and revival is great for that. Then I'm going to go to the old school blackface 116 there, and then I'm going to come over and go to this guy, and then we'll leave trimmer for good gain staging. We'll check how that's going out at the end. And cool. So first things first, I just want to listen and kind of filter out any of the low air conditioner rumble, anything that's coming in on this vocal. Let's engage the high pass filter and just listen to what that does.
Everything I know seems to hit the ground.
Typically with high pass on a vocal, I'm going to listen, of course, for the air conditioner rumble or anything down, sub-frequency stuff that we don't need, especially in a vocal. But I like to kind of overemphasize the high pass filter, the low cut, and hear that kind of, way up there. It's more than we need.
Everything I know.
And then I like to back it off until I get what I need from the vocal. And for this, it's about 100 hertz or so. It's going to be fine. Let me back that up.
Everything I know seems to hit the ground.
Okay, so maybe something around 115, 150, somewhere in there that we may want to use at some point. So 100 hertz and below is good for now. Next up, I feel like this could have been a little bit brighter of a mic choice. So what I'm going to do, instead of re-recording this guy, we've got some awesome tools here. Revival is ridiculous. This guy's free. If you have an iLock and you go to Slate, I think it's slatedigital.com. Revival's free. You download VMR. There's no catch, no gimmick. And Revival is on my 2-bus. Use it on drum bus all the time. Vocals. This thing is ridiculous, and they give it away. It's a steal. Go check out Revival. But let's put a little shimmer to it.
Everything I know seems to hit the ground.
Let me solo that so you can hear the difference. Here's with it in.
Everything I know seems to hit the ground.
I turned it off there. One more time, I'm going to have it in, and then I'm going to bring it out pretty quickly. So watch this guy right in here. The light turn on and off, because it's definitely added, I don't know, whatever they're doing behind the scenes, the harmonic excitement or something. And then the top end, it just sounds incredible. So a little bit goes a long way with this guy. Sometimes you just jack it way up, see what it sounds like, and then back it off until you kind of feel it, as opposed to it being too audible. But here's in.
Everything I know seems to hit the ground.
And it just kind of becomes bland again. So one more time. Here's in.
Everything
Out.
I know seems to hit the ground.
Okay. Like I said, a little bit goes a long way. I'm going to try to move quick. I wanted this to be a quick and dirty tutorial for you guys. Next up, I want to hit this. I watched Stephen Slate had a great tutorial using this plugin, and he touched on something I do all the time. A lot of mixes that I'm getting to do now. The guys that are tracking it, they're not necessarily seasoned vets in the studio. They're not tracking with compression. We've kind of become timid using compression in the studio. So almost always the first step for me, as far as compression goes, is to treat it as if it were the tracking compression. So I'm kind of shaping the mic for the mic to sound the way that I want it. Now I'm going to hit it with a little bit of compression to kind of keep it in check. I'm just going to leave this full, slow attack, fast release, and hit some of these transients, maybe play around with the attack. I just want to knock the vocal down a little bit. 3, 5 dB, maybe 7 dB, it just depends. And we're going to do that now. So
Everything.
Let's go ahead and send some signal. I want to back it up. I want to control my gain staging. I want to make sure that I'm not being fooled by what's going on in the plugin. I want to keep a nice accurate level.
Everything I know seems to hit the ground.
Okay, I'm going to pull this back just a little bit. Just want to catch those peaks. I don't really want to bring it forward too much just yet. And then I'm going to go with a little bit quicker attack.
Everything I know seems to hit the ground.
Okay, that feels pretty good to me. Let's check the level. Here's without it.
Everything I know seems to hit the ground.
Okay. Now, compressing it, the vocal sounds like it was tracked in an open room, and so I've got some of the room noises coming forward, but we can address that with some surgical EQ in a minute. Next up, what I want to do is, because we're compressing it, maybe hit it with one more compressor, but I can already tell we're going to need some de-essing. When we emphasize the top end, some of those S's are going to get a little harsh, so I'm a stickler for 3 to 5K drives me nuts, that 4K zone. The 6, 7, 8, kind of the normal de-essing range kind of gets harsh, so we want to take a look at that. But first, I'm going to compress this guy with the new the FG116. The modern is already a favorite of mine. I tried both of them out. The vintage is incredible. I was preferring that on the drum bus, but this guy right here, just something about it was pretty sick. We've got a high pass chain. We don't really need that because we filtered out the low in this guy over here, but if you're using that on a drum bus or a kick drum and you want to prevent the sub frequencies from triggering the compression, you can turn that high pass side chain on, and it's going to prevent your lows from triggering the compression as much. So anyways, we're dealing with a vocal here, so let's go ahead and pull back the output. I'm going to drive this in. I'm going to go crazy. Let's go 8 to 1 and just go for like 10 dB of reduction at all times.
Everything I know seems to hit the ground. Everything I know seems to hit the ground.
Okay, we could even get a little more aggressive, grab onto it a little quicker, leave that release fast. That's going to keep it right up front in our face.
Everything I know seems to hit the ground.
Okay, so we have some EQ. I think we can add a little bit more top. I'm going to EQ into the compression so that if anything gets a little bit harsh, it's going to be pushing and the compressor is going to react more to that. So it serves almost kind of like a de-esser.
Everything I know seems to hit the ground.
Sounds pretty good to me, but we're doing this in solo for tutorial sake. Let's go ahead and hear it in context of the mix and check our level.
Everything I know seems to hit the ground.
Okay, now the compression sounds good, and it's serving a purpose. It's locking that vocal in place, but for me, it's a little bit over compressed, so I'm going to take advantage of this mix knob. I'm going to back that up. Sometimes I will leave it 100% and then just kind of bring back some of the natural vocal. Other times, I will pull that all the way back to 0 and just build in some fatness. It just depends on your taste and how you want to work. I'm going to do it this time around all the way out and just blend it up to taste and see what we get. Actually, before I do that, I want to go and check the level and make sure we're level matched a little bit here.
Everything.
So we're still a little bit louder with the compressor, so I'm going to back that up some.
Everything.
So I'm not fooled by that. So now we'll pull that back 0% and then in context of the mix.
Everything.
We're dipping off a little bit at everything. Halfway through that phrase, it just kind of drops a little bit. Let's see if we can smooth it out.
Everything I know seems to hit the ground. Everything.
And then without this compression.
Everything I know seems to hit the ground.
It's moving a little bit more, so that may be your thing. You may want a little more of a dynamic vocal, but for this, I'm referencing some Mark Endert mixes. He mixed the recent Mercy Me, Matthew West, all kinds of cool stuff. Jeremy Camp, some stuff, the CCM world that I'm in. Love that stuff, and he killed those mixes. So I know his mixes are a little bit more compressed, and the vocals sitting a little bit more in your face and a lot tighter. So I'm going to go ahead and use this compression, and I'm going to push the output just a hair.
Everything I know seems to hit the ground.
Okay, now the S's, they're not too bad, honestly, for a pop vocal especially, but I'm going to come on and use, still waiting on the de-ess modules with the de-esser built into VMR, but I'm going to use my my go-to here is the FabFilter de-ess. I've just got that threshold cranked. Anything between 6.5K and 12 or so is going to be knocked down whenever we have it set here in the split band mode, but let's focus on how that's working on the vocal.
Everything I know seems to hit the ground.
Now for de-essing, I like to go find a phrase where there's an S, something that's harsh, and I like to loop it. And I like to play with the de-esser a little bit and make sure it sounds, at least somewhat natural. I want to make sure that the S's are completely knocked down and controlled, but I don't want them to be overly de-ess because that can make the vocalist sound like he has a lisp, so all the S's kind of disappear, and it gets real weird. So let's find that.
I know seems to hit.
Seems to, so that's right here.
Seems to hit, seems to hit, seems to hit, seems to.
Now I'm going to play it with the de-esser, and then I'm going to bypass it.
Seems to hit, 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 seems to hit.
So it's softening it up. I like to do de-essing in stages. A lot of the time I'll go through and do it manually, just go through and select. So like for this guy, I would zoom in, find that little football looking S here.
Seems to.
Just go grab it and pull it down. I think it's just going to be right there. Could go through and we could clip gain that down, 6, 7 dB, 10 dB. It just depends on the vocalist, how harsh they are. Let's pull that back up.
I know seems to hit.
That was too much, obviously. And solo, it was too much, so you know it's going to be too much in the track. But in this case, I'm de-essing with the de-esser, the plugin. I'm going to do it twice. I'm going to do it once before the chain and once after. And let's take a look and see what this is doing here.
I know seems to hit.
And that's doing a nice job. Now, I talked about the room. There's a little bit of a resonance going on. I think we need to shape this to fit a little bit better in the mix. And I'm a huge fan of the FabFilter stuff, the Pro Q2 here. I'm going to go in and I'm going to hunt for that frequency, see if I can pull it out.
Everything.
That's pretty easy to find right there, around 650, 700, somewhere in there. And this will make a lot more sense in a second, but there's a couple of sweet spot frequency points I like to try out on vocals to boost. And not only do I feel like this needs to come down some, when I boost 1.5, 2K in there, I do it on a pretty wide bell. So by decreasing the gain here, it's going to help the boost up above not seem so dramatic. So let's come here first. I want to pull back this room resonance.
Everything I know seems to hit the ground.
Okay, that's doing a good job. Let's check in the context of the mix, which is ultimately the most important thing. Let's back up and hear this phrase.
Everything I know seems to hit the ground.
Okay, so it sounds good. It sounds a lot better to my ear, cutting that frequency, but there's just something about the vocal. It needs to come forward a little bit more. I remember a long time ago, I watched a Dave Pensado video, and he talked about anywhere from like 800 to 1.5, 2K, somewhere in there, being a sweet spot in vocal. So I almost always look and try to boost with that. Good old Dave Pensado. And then cut left and right of that frequency to kind of, like I was just talking about, to not make that boost seem so dramatic. So here is the 1K. I'm going to go hunting and see if I can find something that sounds good here. Right there around 1K, it feels like it could come forward a little bit and serve the song well.
Everything I know seems to hit the ground.
Okay, and then now because we've boosted, this could probably come back a little bit more. And then maybe something a little bit above it that will help us to not have to boost so much at 1K. By cutting either side of it, we're going to accentuate that 1K that we're trying to pull the vocal forward with. So let's check out around 2K or so if we can cut.
Everything I know seems to hit the ground.
I actually kind of like 2K being boosted there. It kind of brought the vocal forward a little bit more. So let's see.
Everything I know seems to hit the ground. Everything I know seems to hit the ground. Everything I
Okay, so maybe a little bit less of the 1K. It's getting a little bit nasally somewhere in there. And then the cool thing about the fab filters, we've got a gain scale here. We can pull this back percentage-wise and just kind of massage that until it feels good. So let's see if we need any of that.
Everything I know seems to hit the ground.
Yeah, it felt pretty good, so I'm going to leave that alone. Let's bypass it and see if we even made an improvement.
Everything I know seems to hit the ground.
I'm going to pull it back a little bit more so it's not quite as nasally, and I'm going to leave it in. I kind of like what it was doing before in the context of the mix, but that's kind of the down and dirty. We got a nice shaped vocal here. Let me go ahead and show you a pretty simple effects trick that I like to do, is to layer subtle chorusing, subtle modulation effects. I'm not a huge fan of chorus. I'm a guitar player, and I hate the old 80s, early 90s chorusing guitars. But I like to use a little bit on vocals, and I'm going to show you that. So I've got a gentle chorus, the mono dimension D, and a vocal preset called the Cooper Dimension from the Cooper Time Cube. I think it's called, from the UAD stuff over there. Cooper Dimension. Let's see. Let's go to the gentle chorus first. Got my vocal effects. We'll pull this guy front and center. What I like to do with these is I like to highlight a vocal section, hit play, pull open some chorus until I hear it and it sounds horrible. It's just too audible. And then back it off until I feel it, and it's not so much of a heard effect, but it's more of a felt effect. So let's take a look at that.
Everything I know seems to hit the ground.
Okay, so right there, it's completely chorused. It's very obvious, and there's a level boost as well. So we got to use our ears and trust our judgment. But at this point, what I'll do is I'll just kind of ride that up, feel it out, and then just back it off a little bit until it's more of a felt thing. So I said that a couple times, but let's see what happens here.
Everything I know seems to hit the ground.
What I like about this is it gives the vocal a kind of a silky smooth feeling to it. I love using saturation and all kinds of dirty effects on vocals, blending in parallel saturation. But for this one, I think a nice silky smooth texture would be nice. I'm going to layer it. I'm not just going to rely on one modulation effect. I'm going to go to a second one. It's got a little bit of a different vibe. This is the mono dimension D. I'm going to ride this up, same thing, to where we hear it. It's too much.
Everything I know seems to hit the ground.
Okay, moving quick. And then the Cooper Dimension, this one's going to be, the vocal right now is just right down the middle, super tight, mono, everything about it is central. For me, what the Cooper Dimension, it's the Cooper Time Cube plugin, but it's the Vocal Dimension preset. What it does for me is it takes that vocal from being super tight and center and focus, and it kind of opens it up a little bit and takes it, almost feel like it almost feels like it puts it on top of the track. So it's going to just expand right in the middle, and it's almost just going to fill out more of the central space. So instead of it being squished and tight and skinny, it's going to kind of poke out the chest and feel a little bit more in control of that center of the mix. So here's this guy. We'll boost it again, do the same thing, push it a little bit far, and then we'll dial it back.
Everything I know seems to hit the ground.
So right there, you feel like the vocal just kind of came on and took over. That's great, and a lot of times this preset could work out really well as an effect to just kind of like let it live up there. But for me, I want it to be more of a felt thing, similar to the other two. I want it to be a layer. So I'm going to back this off a little bit to taste, and we'll move on.
Everything I know seems to hit the ground.
So for this one, I still feel like maybe just a little bit less. And then maybe for the chorus, I take each of these and go up a little bit more, or take one or the other and really push it forward, and then maybe back up the output to balance it up. But this could be a great effect to layer at certain sections. You could automate this, all kinds of crazy stuff. I do this all the time. Check out themixacademy.com. I take songs from start to finish. We have whole sections on automation. We get really crazy with it. But anyways, I wanted to show off some kind of the basics of mixing a vocal. I got excited when Slate released the Blue Stripe 116s, the 1176s, their take on them, and I wanted to show that off coupled with a couple of other plugins. But there we go. So mixing vocals. I actually have a course called Mixing Vocals. If you're interested, you want to learn more, that's kind of it in a nutshell. And then we go way more in depth on all kinds of stuff. We look at a pop vocal, a hip hop vocal, R&B vocal, gospel vocal, a live vocal, all kinds of stuff. Go to mixingvocals.com. Links in the description below. Also, the free VIP mix training bundle. Download free multi-tracks, impulse responses. We've got exclusive tutorials, all at davidglennrecording.com. And of course, check out the Slate new VMR modules, the FET compressors. I hope you guys dig this. Please feel free to like, subscribe, share this, and we'll catch you in many more tutorials to come.